Why do we see beauty? If mankind is a boom species, is this important? What is panic and blunder thinking? These are all part of the human condition. And the human condition is fascinating. Certainly philosophers and writers and artists of all sorts have been worried about the human condition and talking about it for hundreds of thousands or hundreds of years, a couple of centuries. And most of the time it is approached as a mystery. Why do we see beauty? My approach to it is that human thinking, including the human condition, is very practical. It is a product of evolution, and it is solving some very real problems. Beauty is solving the problem of how do you get people to cooperate? In particular, how do you get people to cooperate with young children and young mothers who need a lot of help? And the way you help them is that you put into human thinking this concept of, that person is beautiful. Let's cooperate with them. This is the kind of thing that I write about in my book. And other things that I write about are things like panic and blunder thinking. Panic and blunder thinking is what happens when you get really scared, and what you're scared at is something that you've never experienced before. And because you've never experienced it before, what am I supposed to do? You're in the middle of panic and blunder thinking. The reason I call it a blunder is because you're likely to make a really big, really expensive mistake. Classic example of that is you have a burning house, and the husband comes out of the burning house, and the mother comes out of the burning house, and she says, "My baby," and she runs back into the burning house, and the baby is in her husband's arms crying to her. How come she didn't know that? She was in the middle of panic thinking. And in my book, I talk about why that happened and why there's a very practical reason for it to happen. A boom species. Mankind is a boom species. It's here on Earth doing very, very well because it adapts the environment to making it much better for humans to live. And mankind is not the only species that has done this, adapt the environment to make it better for the species. But boy, he does it well. And that's the good side, that's the bright side. But there is a dark side to this as well. The dark side is mankind adapts to the environment that mankind has made. We adapt to living in houses. We adapt to cooked food. And what happens if we don't have it anymore? Oops, we could lose it all. This is being a boom species. And this is part of what I talk about in my book. Okay? So what's in the book here is a series of observations that I have made through my living on Earth here about why things happen and trying to come up with some good, very practical reasons why very strange things happen. And another one that I have is the curse of being important. And the curse of being important is if something is considered very important by many people, quite often nothing happens. It could be beautiful, it could be wonderful, but it doesn't, just nothing happens. Why not? The famous proverb, too many cooks spoil the broth. And so what I do is talk more about the curse of being important and go into detail about when it's going to happen, and if you are dealing with something that is afflicted by the curse, what can you try to do about it? Okay? So this Why We See Beauty is observations about the human condition and explaining why it happens. And the goal is that for you as the reader, if you can understand the human condition better, if you can understand why humans do some of the crazy things humans do, then you can better predict what's going to happen in your life and what's going to happen around you. And if you can better predict what's going to happen, your life is going to go a lot easier. You're going to be able to say, I know what's happening. I may not be able to change it. I may be able to take advantage of it, but at least you're not going to be confused by it and not quite so worried by it. And that's the goal. So, Why We See Beauty. It's part of my Rogers Business and Insight series. Take a look for it. You can find it at bookstores and have fun with it.